Alrighty, good morning, my friends. It is Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Let's go ahead and jump on back, take a look at what happened on Friday. If you guys recall, on Friday, huge gap down, as you guys obviously know, last night. But on Friday, we were talking about starting to see clues for a bearish signal on the daily and the 4-hour time frames, two of the important time frames for intraday trading. And so what ended up happening yesterday, we got a push out of the open. We came right to and remember I told you, on the way up here, you need to expect that at each roadmap level, we could be finding the rejection, right? But there was clues for a bigger pullback given the daily and the 4-hour. It pushed out of the open and then came to the roadmap level here. You can see them rejected right to the tick and then popped through and bounced. We'll look at it in detail. And then that was it. We got the big sell-off, and then not surprisingly, coming into this week now, we've got a continuation to the downside. And what do you know? On our daily time frames, if we go up to our daily, big bearish divergence up off Friday's high, and the 4-hour also was a big bearish divergence off Friday's high. So everything was in the cards for the pullback. We just had to have that first little push out of the open, come up right into the roadmap level, and then fail. So that's at the point where we got the big 4-hour, hourly, and daily bearish signal. And again, sold off for the rest of the day. So let's look at some of the notable rotations in here for some really good opportunities. There was, I believe we were pretty slow out of the open again on Friday, if I recall. And so I was being pretty patient, if I recall correctly, pretty sure. But you can see here out of the open, they pull back right to one tick in front of the roadmap level, and that begins the push out. Now this right here, again, it was choppy and slow, and we were talking about the potential for a pullback here. So there were always some kind of thoughts about shorting this area. So I don't, there was nothing we really did in here, but it is interesting to note that they held the first roadmap area just before the open. We got the double bottom there. Again, just ducking through by maybe 1 point max. And then right here, one tick in front, we get the bounce out. Now, if you were looking for the short, again, you missed by a couple ticks on these tests here, one tick in front here. And then right there would have been your opportunity to get short on Friday. Again, if you were looking for that short for the expectation on the breakdown, you could have got into the tick there. Again, took almost no risk. And then you got yourself how much of a point pullback? You got about a 4-point pullback and then came out. So you would have made a little bit of a scalp, hopefully taking profit at the FMA for 2 points, 2-3 points. And then unfortunately did not continue to move in your direction. So we bounced out from there. And then you had the inverse, the bullish opportunity to buy off the top end of the roadmap level there as it tagged into the FMA. So a good long opportunity there. You get the pullback at the next major roadmap level only to bounce. This right here, once you started to see that we were actually pushing higher, would have been probably the best trade of the day, right? Because it was a little bit, out of the open, it was just a little bit iffy. And then once we started to get this breakout, there was your tag of the 200 to the tick with a big bullish divergence off that low. So if you were being patient, you were playing in the direction of what looked to be a potential breakout, you had an opportunity to take a very low risk opportunity that then worked out to the tick for the continuation to the upside. And if you missed that, technically you had that next test, but they bounced one tick in front of it. So hey, that's how the cookie crumbled there. You could have bought the pullback to the roadmap level, and it only ducked through by less than 2 points. So either way, these two levels still nailing the low for the next bounce, right? And as you can see, as we come up into the next major roadmap level, just like earlier, they came up in the overnight right to 61.28, duck pushed through a little bit, came up that time, and then once they got through it, pulled back, and then bounced basically right off that area. Well, where's the next big pullback? 2 ticks in front of the next roadmap level, comes into the 200, again has trouble right here, but then they hold the FMA with bullish divergence for the breakout back up. Again, holding above it on the pullback, and then coming up, and then this was the high of the day. Once again, remember, it looks like from a zoomed out perspective, oh, look, they just went right through the level by a point and a half and then pulled back, right? Because it was 46, they went to 47.75. So even if you shorted the level, left a 2-point stop, you shouldn't have been stopped out, and then you got the whole sell-off from there. So there's a lot of good, and then what I was working at towards here is, even though it looks messy in there, it still comes to the tick, pulls back to the tick, pulls back, and then when they get through it, it holds it to the tick for this bounce, right? So it then fails out, comes right to the back end of that, and then you get the sell-off. Now, there were some beautiful, this is that trade I was talking about, a little bit more of an aggressive entry, but on the way down, you start to see it fail off a major area, come down and hold the back end of the FMA with a bearish divergence, and that would have been the beginning of the sell-off, right? If you shorted from the FMA, again, no risk. You got it filled to the tick, or maybe you put your entry in front of it by a tick, got filled, never came back, and you got the sell-off for the rest of the day. So either shorting from here, again, didn't even go through by 2 points, or shorting from the FMA, or shorting from the back end of the 200 here, all gave you beautiful entries to get the sell-off going into the rest of the, well, I guess the rest of the morning, because it did pop back. They didn't make it a straight line, and then it broke from there, right? So you still had opportunity to make tens and tens of points to the downside before this happened, okay? And on the way down again, what do you know? They get through the next roadmap level here, and then they hold the back end of it with bearish divergence for the next push lower, only to bounce to the tick off the next major roadmap level where you had a bullish divergence as it pulled back. So again, a to the tick rotation off the roadmap level, very clear bullish divergence, got you the bounce or the pullback into VWAP, right? So there's just a whole bunch of opportunity. And then that brought us right up and again, came right into the major structure area, failed just in front, bounced again. And notice on the way up here, you have to the tick opportunities, bounce to the tick, failure off the 200 to the tick, holding to VWAP basically to the tick, falling off the roadmap level to the tick 2 times. And then once it's above it, a long opportunity with bullish divergence. So still all these rotations, you can see that our roadmap level bifurcates it almost perfectly, right? That's the spot where you can short when it's below and when it's above, buy. Of course, it's going to rip through the levels eventually, but that is the area of the major rotations in here. So great opportunities to buy and sell off there. Then they sell off and you get the bounce off Hopel. Now this wasn't a to the tick. It bounced less than 2 points below it. So, or just about 2 points below exactly. So again, bullish divergence into the Hopel, bounces out, rejects off the roadmap level and the back end of the 200. And there was a bounce to the tick with bullish divergence off Hopel for that second bounce. So good opportunities in there, bunch of short opportunities as we continued selling off. And then what do you know? The next major roadmap level, they come up and they kiss it to the back end twice here with bearish divergence on that second test for the continuation down, right? And then they keep going, they get down the next level and they come up. Again, shorting that level shouldn't have been taken on more than about 2 points of risk. And then you got the push to the next expected support where it bounced, right? Let's zoom this out, kind of speed it up here to finish this out here. So got a little messy in here, still holding to the upside, the roadmap level for the bounces and the rejections right off. And that, my friends, would have been a beautiful opportunity on Friday afternoon if you were looking for a trade and you were watching this occur right here. The huge bearish divergence off the roadmap level, the back end of the 200, textbook setup. It was even probably arguably a 50, 61.8 retrace of this leg down. And you get the push at the end of the day back down. So again, these are to the tick within less than 2 point rotations. And then end of the day here, we'll just kind of speed it up. Friday afternoon can be a little bit wonky. And so you get kind of a travel. You can see all these rotations. I'm not going to spend too much more time here. Comes down, holds the back end of 50% of the previous day. And then at the end of the day here on Friday, they come into the next major roadmap level and they bounce back and forth between the two major roadmap levels, only to come and almost test into the low of the day before Thursday. And then you can see it comes all the way up, bearish divergence off the roadmap level, big opportunity right at the end of the week here. And then they still, all through the end of Friday here, continue to travel back and forth between this roadmap level and this one down here. So lots of good rotations at the end of the day, end of the week as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump up to Sunday, or jump down to Sunday here, where we got a huge gap down. Now a 61.8 retrace of this whole sell-off into the overnight low would bring us all the way back up to the close of Friday. So the bulls have a whole lot of room here to try and push up this morning. But let's look at what happened here last night. So last night, once again, this was a very choppy overnight session. But despite that, they come right to the 61.8 retrace of the sell-off, and they hold it for two tests. You could have bought that twice and got the two biggest bounces of the beginning of the overnight session there, right? A little wonky in there, but once they get down through that major roadmap level, they come into the next one for the bounce. Big bullish divergence down there, right? That second low, big bullish divergence, that leads to the bounce that comes up to the back end of the next major roadmap level for the sell-off. So there was a long opportunity, a short opportunity, and then a long opportunity off each roadmap level. Then notice what happens. They pop up and then they start to hold the top end of the roadmap level for the push to the next area, right? So plays all around that area, comes out, and then we reject up here off the top end, only to come down and bounce off the 200 to the tick with a bullish divergence. And you guys get the picture here. We held the major roadmap level in the overnight session. That's been a major resistance. Pulled back. You got the bounce off the VWAP here, tick in front off our unofficial roadmap level to the tick. And then just now a bounce one tick in front of that area. And you can see it's very choppy and messy in here. But still, even in the last couple minutes, hold off the 200, hold off the back end of the roadmap level, hold off the VWAP. These are all trade opportunities to the tick rotations where, again, you could get some scalps inside of all this chop, right? So I rest my case for that. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames now and see if they have any new information coming into this week. We are in a new month. We're in a new week. So we'll take a look at the higher time frames here to start out. And